YouTube family, what's good? It's your boy Indigo the Barber, and today we are back with yet another video. So in today's video I'm dropping yet another tutorial. As I said last week, I will be dropping weekly tutorials. I will be adding vlogs and that type of thing throughout the week, or that type of part. For now, we're just focusing on the weekly tutorials. If you are new to my channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Definitely like and leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about my content. If there's anything you want me to focus on in particular, you can go ahead and let me know in the comment section. It's pretty noisy outside. Actually, it's actually storming right now, but I'm appreciating the rain because it's been way too hot this past few weeks, and we're only in spring, and the heat has been mad, but definitely enjoying the rain right now.
Okay.
So in today's tutorial we are doing the mid blade fade with some black enhancements on my client's hairline. So basically my client always comes through, this is his regular haircut. He goes for the mid blade fade, number 3 on the top. This is a really easy haircut. So guys, let's go ahead and jump straight into today's tutorial. Let's go.
Few moments later.
Hey, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's somewhere below the screen. Just stop whatever you're doing, like for 2 seconds, hit the subscribe button, and then you can continue with the video. I'd really appreciate it. So don't forget, it's somewhere below the screen. Just hit the subscribe button. Peace. Don't forget, below the screen somewhere. Let's go.
For today's tutorial, we will be doing the mid blade fade with black enhancements on our client's hairline. So basically my client has a bit of a dense hairline, as you can see. That's why I'm using the enhancements. I'm not really a big fan, but he requested it. I actually I asked him if he'd like it, and yeah. So as usual, start off by combing our client's hair out. Now we're going ahead. I have my Wahl magic clip. My lever is closed entirely, and now we are sitting in our first zero guideline. As you can see, our first zero guideline is in line with our client's eyebrow. So that's when you know you are at the mid fade, like that's where you start your mid fade. Just make sure that your first initial guideline is in line with the client's eyebrow. And now next off, I have my Wahl Designers. Now I'm going ahead and I have my lever open entirely, and we're setting in our next guideline. For this guideline, I'll set it in at about ½ inch, and I'll make sure that it's consistent right around the entire head. And you'll notice always when I am setting in this guideline, it's like most important to always go over the same spot a few times, just to make sure that you do get the hair nice and even, so that it's even throughout. So now for the next step, we're gonna start fading out our first initial guideline. So as you can see, I slightly adjusted my lever, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on our bottom guideline over there. So we're gonna start buffering out, and as you can see, I closed my lever. Now we're about halfway closed, and I'm just focusing on buffering out the bottom guideline. And now my lever is closed entirely, and I'm just using a flick motion to lightly tap on the guideline, just to make sure that it disappears properly, or well, blends away properly. Now we're gonna do the same thing at the back as well as the other side. So we'll start with our lever open just to make sure it's even, and we'll slightly adjust our lever, and we'll consistently do this until we've smoothly buffered out the bottom guideline. And it's always important to just take your time with this step, because if you do end up leaving any dark spots or any guidelines, especially this one, and then your fade will look incomplete. It will kind of look like a bucket. Well, that's what we call it. We call it the bucket line, and yeah, it doesn't look too cool. So it's always important to take your time with this specific step. Just make sure you get the line buffered out properly. So now for the next step, we're going to go ahead and set in our next guideline. So as you can see, I have my number 1 guard on, my lever is open entirely, and I'm setting in another guideline of about 1/2 inch. Now what we'll go ahead and do is we'll close our lever entirely and just flick on the bottom guideline there, and now you can see it's already blending away nicely. All we need to do is do this right around the client's entire head, and then once we're done with that, we'll just come back and do some detailing. So you can see in this area I'm really focusing on using the corners of my clipper blades, because remember, like I told you, his hair is growing in that direction, so I want to make sure I'm cutting against the grain to get the smoothest and to get it as even as possible. And you also notice I brush a lot because I want to get the hair laying flat also as well. So next off, I have my Wahl cordless magic clip. I have my number 3 guard, and this step is pretty simple. All I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my client's hair down at the top. I'm basically just evening it all out. I'm trying to get a nice and smooth finish. So as you can see, I'm cutting in all different directions. Just making sure that I'm cutting against the grain at all times, because like I said earlier in the tutorial, I want to get when you do cut against the grain, get a much smoother finish as well, because you don't want it to look like there is dark spots or hair left over. So what I'll do is I'll just do this now, and later in the tutorial you'll see that I do actually come back and just for the last time, just to make sure that everything is even, just go over it with the number 3 again. So now I'm back to my Wahl Designers. I have my number 2 guard on with my lever open, and now we're gonna start blending out the harsh guideline over there. As you can see, I'm not being shy with my number 2 guard. I'm making sure I take it as high as possible, because I wanna see the blend. And now you can see I'm turning my clip, I'm cutting against the grain. Because of my client's crown, that's the way that his hair is growing, so I'm making sure I'm cutting against the grain at all times. You need to take like these things into consideration if you are a barber and you want to make sure that you do get return clients. You just need to find ways to make sure that you give your client the best cut possible. So next off, I'm gonna go with my number 1.5 guard. I'm gonna start with my lever open, and as I feel comfortable with the length at 1.5, I'll gradually close my lever, and you'll notice that now the fade is already starting to come together. So now I'm going ahead, I'm closing my lever, still have my 1.5 guard on, and all I'm doing is I'm consistently flicking using a flick motion because I don't want to take the fade up too high. I want to get the best blend as possible. So once we are done with this step, what we can go ahead and do is we go back to our number 1 guard. We'll start with our lever open, and now all I'm basically doing is I'm gonna go back to my previous guards, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna detail. So now as you can see, I'm making sure I'm using the corners of my blades, making sure I'm cutting against the grain, because now all I'm doing is I'm detailing. Going there, I went ahead, I closed my lever entirely. Corners of the blades is very important when detailing because there's certain dark spots that you can't really reach when you're using the entire flat blade. So using the corners to reach those spots, make them blend nicely. It's really important with the corners of your blades. And detailing is so important. Now you can see there were so many dark spots, and just because of detailing, the blend is already coming together nicely. Now I'm back to my 0.5 guard. Started with my lever open, and I'll gradually work my way back to my lever being closed. And you'll see me continuously adjusting the lever because there's certain spots that the hair is a bit too long or it's a bit too short. So you just need to have a sharp eye to make sure you know that the lever needs to be adjusted slightly, but that will come with time. To become like second nature, to be so easy. You already know the flow of how you usually cut. And now you see I'm back to my number 1 guard. So like I said, it will become like second nature. You already know what guard to grab without even thinking about it. Back to my number 2, just to get rid of that dark spot at the top over there. Started with my lever open, and as you can see, that dark spot already started to disappear. Now I went with my number 2 guard closed. Now it's blending in really nicely with the top as well as the bottom of the fade, well, the beginning of the fade, let me rather say. So now I'm just going to go ahead and apply some hairspray on my client's hairline because it is a bit dense. I want to make sure that all the hair is laying flat, nice and in place. So basically I'm going ahead with my detail, and I'm just cleaning above my initial 0 guideline, because when I do come through with my straight razor to clean up for the blade fade, I don't want to leave a harsh guideline and then it will be difficult to take out. So by doing this, you avoid the whole you avoid leaving a guideline, and it makes cleaning up with the razor simple. You clean up with the razor, you clean your client off, and it's basically done, instead of cleaning up with the razor and then coming back to blend out the guide you created. So now, as you know, if you've been watching all my tutorials, I always start my lineups in the center, and because my client has a bit of a dense hairline, you can see I'm really taking my time with it. I'm making sure that I don't push it up too much, because once we do add the enhancements, the hairline will look very full. So basically now I just speeded it up, but I always take my time with Sharik's hairline, or well, Sharik's lineup, let me rather say, because I want to make sure I get his lineup super crispy. I want to keep it as natural as possible at the same time. And I won't even lie, the Wahl Detailers, they've been my best investment so far. And as you can see, now I'm back to my Wahl Designer. I have my number 3 guard on. All we're doing is we just basically rerunning through the top of our client's head. We're just making sure that it is even. So now what I'm going ahead and I'm doing, I prefer to use the shaving gel now. I used to use shaving cream, shaving foam, but it was such a messy job. With the shaving gel it's so much easier. Go ahead and use the shaving gel, and it also gives you a much smoother shave when you are using the shaving gel. So just hit me up in the comment section if you want to know what shaving gel I specifically use. Then I'll drop the link in the comment. Well, I'll reply to your comment by dropping the link for you, or I'll even add it to my bio if you are interested in getting the shaving gel. And now I'm going ahead with my straight razor. As you can see, with my left hand I'm pulling the skin in the opposite direction that I am shaving, and I do this because I want to make sure that I get a very close shave, a really clean shave, and also I don't want my client's skin to be too loose. And if it is loose, like you could the blade could, like, how do I put it, the blade could bump off the client's skin and it can cause cuts. So it's best you pull the skin in the opposite direction that you are using a straight razor in. And yeah, this is when you are doing this, it's so super satisfying. I really enjoy doing blade fades. So let me know how you guys feel about blade fades. How many of your clients actually get a blade fade, or if it is a big demand at your shop. Just let me know in the comment section. While you're at it, just hit the subscribe button as well, and definitely leave a like if you are enjoying the video thus far. And the step is pretty simple. Just go ahead with your straight razor, clean up all the hair that you left behind. Now I just go ahead with a warm towel. Just make sure I wipe my client off properly, getting clean up around the ears, make sure that I get rid of all the shaving gel. Now I'm just going in for the last time, cleaning up around the neck area if there's any hairs that I did miss. So now basically for the enhancements, I use a semi-permanent hair dye. The hair fibers is cool, but the only problem with the hair fibers is, like, as soon as you wash it, it comes out. So basically I just use a semi-permanent hair dye. It lasts for about 2 to 3 days, sometimes even more, depending on how often you wash your hair. And basically once I apply it, all I do is I use my brush to basically blend it in, and then I come back with my straight razor and I line it up just so that it is nice and sharp, looks nice and crisp as well. Once I am happy with the shape, what I do is I come back with a wet wipe and I basically make sure that there's not any dark spots. So I basically blend it in to the hair nicely so that it doesn't look as if it's artificial or pasted on. Try to make it look as natural as possible, even though I am adding the enhancements. And it's always good to get the hairline from different angles. Just make sure it's nice and straight. So always shave up against the grain just to make sure that you do get that enhancement line nice and crisp. Now you can see this is basically a technique I use. I use the small dye brush, and as I am applying, I basically comb it down with the hair so that it can blend in with the back, so that it doesn't look like I just put the enhancements in the front. As you can see, I'm busy brushing it in, making sure that everything blends in with my client's actual hair. Now I'm gonna shave up against the grain just to make sure I get that enhancement line nice and straight, nice and crisp as well. And you don't necessarily have to use a wet wipe, you can also use a wet towel. I just prefer the wet wipe, it's much easier. So as you saw there, basically I blend in the hair enhancement and I fade it out with the wet wipe just to make it look super natural. And this is how Mr. Sharik looked like before we got the cut in, and this is what he looked like once we were done with the haircut and added the enhancements. Looking super fresh, looking super clean. So guys, if you are new to my channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Definitely leave a comment and leave a like. Definitely hit the notification bell as well. Now we are dropping weekly tutorials. It was your boy Enrico the Barber. I hope you enjoyed. Peace.